meeting to order. It's Tuesday, February 11th at 6:35. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I forgot to mention that those attending tonight's meeting should be aware that the meeting is being audio and video recorded by APAC and ASRSD. Any audience members who wish to record any part of the meeting must inform the chair, who will announce the recording. And we do have a reporter here from the Air Shirley Tracker who will be recording the audio for this meeting, so welcome. This is to comply with the Mass Wiretap statute. The listings of matters are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may, in fact, be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for the discussion to the extent permitted by law. Shall we call the roll for me, please?
Mr. DeForge?
Present.
Mrs. Granger?
Here.
Mr. Leone?
Here.
Mr. Quincy?
Here.
Mrs. Reshoots? Mrs. Simmons?
All right, so moving on to our high school representative, Mr. Liam Gleason. What's going on?
Well, now that everything is kind of, we're now in the month of February and midterms have finished, there's a lot of things going on, and it's also right before break. Some things have gotten busy, which, with some staff here tonight, they probably know about the fact that I've been having to try and talk about a lot of things so long that eventually the PA system cuts me off and I have to do it again. But it's all really positive. We have, different things going on with all the different clubs going on. Mock trial is finally getting into full swing. Robotics is getting closer to where they need to be. They're having a meeting right across the hall here. I'm trying to think of what else. Different clubs. Oh, the drama show is going to be coming up very soon, so that's going to be nice. All the different sports teams seem to be doing pretty well. I heard the boys basketball team had a couple wins recently, and the girls did too. And they just had their senior night, which was nice. And we have a few members of the track team headed to states on Sunday, which is really it's quite positive. And I happen to be one, but it's in a relay, so that's so good though.
That's
and we
great.
have, actually, I don't recall if this has happened before, but we have a member of our high school that is going to be participating in states for swim, Anthony Mobilia, so that's really cool that he gets to do that. And there's going to be some other things coming up too, for different sort of curricular things. We have Chris Gobang and Olivia Ostrecker are going to be performing at Boston Symphony Hall on March 7th as part of I believe it's the All-State Choir, which I guess that means they have quite the singing voices, which is, we have a lot of representation going on, and that's really nice. And then we just have other kind of small things going around. This being the week of Valentine's Day and right before break, there's a few different fundraisers going on within that sphere, which is nice. The student council is doing their Valentine's Day candygrams, where you have a little box and there's some nice stuff in it. You get to send it to somebody. And you can either say it's from yourself, or if you're shy and trying to be that kind of person, then you can say it's anonymous to try and make it kind of different there, even if you don't feel comfortable. And they're going to distribute those Friday morning. And then a set of students, and I believe they're mostly all freshmen, are doing something where they're selling carnations in the same style as a little box of candy, except it's flour instead. And you can write someone's name on it and give it to a person, or again, make it anonymous. And that money is going to the Apple Valley Nursing Home right next to the hospital.
That's great.
Which I thought was a really nice idea. And so those are kind of going on around the same time. And then a lot of things, particularly for seniors, too, in terms of, a lot of college acceptances are starting to come in for more people, and they're, everyone's kind of pushing them to get their letters in, and then there's scholarship opportunities coming in, and there's, we have a lot of things that we need to think about. There's, obviously some people in student council that are seniors that are trying to plan for prom, and that's a big thing that's coming up too. But not for a few months. I'll be able to mention it a couple more times before it happens. And then, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm saying on the PA in the morning. I do know that there's also a lot of planning for different kind of events too, just kind of coming up soon and trying to get a lot of things in grades before break comes in. And seniors also have to submit some stuff for the yearbook, hopefully. You know, we're working on that as much as possible. And and other than that, things just seem to be going really well. Just sort of planning around different sort of things, you know, with a couple instances with some snow kind of backing some schedules around, and then flu season hit. This, you know, everyone's planning and different staff have had to sort of rearrange how things are going in classes, but I think, you know, with break coming up and having that ability to sort of just do whatever you need to do on your own time coming up soon, we'll be able to sort of bounce back. And that's really all I could think about, but everything seems to be going pretty positively, and things seem to be going fairly well in terms of just kind of everyday happenings and even extracurricular happenings.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Leah? We haven't seen each other since the talent show, and that was really great. I mean, it was great to see all the talent we have at our school.
That's right, yes.
There was some really exceptional performances, and yours among them, so congratulations.
Yeah, that was quite nice because of the fact that we were trying to raise money for our own class, and we had done this before, and our audience size was fairly moderate, but this time we got quite the crowd, and a few faces I didn't expect to see were there, and that really made everything a whole lot better. And I just was so surprised by the different kind of, I mean, you know, a lot of it was music related because, you know, that's a skill and that's a talent. But there was also a lot of variety in there. We had some people, not just this, we had a lot of singers. We had mallet players. We had people that I had never heard sing before come out and do it just by themselves or with someone else or with some music, and I thought, well, this is really nice. And there was one person that added some comedy in theirs as well, and I particularly liked his performance. I don't know about everybody else, but I thought he did all right.
Yeah, he was all right.
So I almost did forget to mention that happened recently, and it seemed to get a pretty positive turnout, so we see a lot of students coming out and supporting their peers and seeing all the different talent they get to show off and be really supportive. Oh, and there's another thing I forgot. I'm really excited for us to be hosting some middle school visitors coming up in a few weeks.
That's right.
I believe it's March 3rd that they're going to be coming over here, so hopefully we'll all be putting our best foot forward and kind of showing them what high school is really like, what Air Shirley Regional High School is really like, and hopefully they want to come here after seeing it.
Yeah, great.
Sorry, just got popped in my head.
Well, good luck on Sunday. Did you say it was Sunday or Saturday?
States is Sunday.
Sunday. Good luck, and good luck to the rest of your team. Thank you for your report.
Yes, thank you. Congratulations on your college acceptance, too.
Oh, yes, that's right. Berkeley College of Music. That's that was incredible. I can still remember being that little 10-year-old that saw for the first time. It's like, there's a college of music in the city of Boston? This is it. I have to go here. And then just that kind of being just something that I would think about, but he was so far away that I wouldn't have to worry. But now that little 10-year-old can rest easy now because his dream came true.
That's awesome.
That's great.
There's no rest in there, man.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm going to be
There's no
busy.
rest in
It's
there.
going to be a fun busy.
So you get close enough to have mom's home cooking still,
Yes.
when you want it, but far enough away, so she
Yeah,
leaves you
that's right.
alone. And I heard dad's going to be a Powerball season ticket holder now, trying to pay for that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see
I
how that
can't.
works out, but, you know, we've had some conversations about it, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, graduating with a certain amount of debt versus a higher amount of debt, either way is probably going to be worth it in this case, because this is, you know, hopefully where I'll be kind of going for the rest of my life, if things work out that way. It was funny, someone, I don't mean to go too off topic, but a peer of mine was like, you know, what happens when you have a high school reunion like 30 years from now, then you're too famous to talk to us? I was like, oh, I'm sure that.
That's a good problem to have. Let's hope.
Yeah.
Also, you'll be the one providing the entertainment because,
Yeah.
you know, if you're that good, free entertainment,
Just like
right?
old times.
Yes, there you go.
You can do your comedy act.
Hey, you guys remember this? So, yeah, we do.
Congratulations. though.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Hopefully, you know, a few other people are still waiting on theirs, I know, and hopefully that'll be turning out well for them. I know a lot of people have already heard back from their top schools and they've got in, so that's exciting. And then just waiting to hear for some more, and then we'll all figure out by May where we're all headed. And then that'll, and then, you know, all these different things that come up when your graduation hits, but I don't want to think about that right now, it's too soon.
Yes.
It's only February.
Enjoy the rest of your
Yeah.
winter and spring semester.
Don't wish it
Enjoy
away.
the moment.
That's right, absolutely. Live in it now.
That's
Yes.
right. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you very much, Leo.
Leanne.
Okay, is there any public participation for our meeting this evening? Seeing none. All right, we'll move on to our consent agenda, which tonight will include the approval of the January 22nd, 2020 regular session minutes for release, approval of the January 22nd, 2020 executive session minutes not yet for release, a donation of $300 to the Page Hilltop Snack Pack Program from St. Andrew's Parish in Air, and a warrant memo that is dated February 4th, 2020, that includes accounts payable warrant 1109, dated January 10th, 2019, for $719,740.99. AP warrant 1111, dated January 24th, 2019, for $2,808.36. Accounts payable warrant 1112, dated January 24th, 2019, for $502,760.88. Payroll warrant 15, dated January 17th, 2020, for $664,690.44. Payroll warrant 15.1, dated January 10th, 2020, for $783.51. Payroll warrant 16, dated January 13th, 2020, for $688,058.39. And payroll warrant 16.1, dated January 23rd, 2020, for $2,927.
Just a question, we have 2 donations in the packet, but we only have 1 listing on the agenda. So I think we can probably just take the second donation, which is the analog devices donation.
Where's
Just take
that?
it-
I don't have that.
Am I in the wrong? I'm in the wrong packet, I'm so sorry.
Listen, mister,
I'm a month behind, my apologies.
we're on February 11th.
It's not January? Oh my, I'm sorry.
We'll take that second donation, but I'm not sure they're offering it.
This is Michelle, and I work in this, work in the agenda and all the documents that go along with it. We would have had to been pretty brain dead tonight.
I know, I was like, I'm like, what's he talking about? Where is this? All right, well, at least you can make my motion.
I'm gonna go crawl in a hole now. I move that we approve the consent agenda as read by Chair Granger. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Did you guys vote?
Oh, aye, yes. Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to new business. Item A, Air Shirley Regional High School Program of Studies. Mr. Spencer Christie.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight to discuss the high school program of studies that we are proposing for the 2020-2021 school year. With me tonight are Dr. Miriam Meyer, Assistant Principal at the high school, Mrs. Caitlin Quinn, our Curriculum Leader for Mathematics, Ms. Rachel Malillo, our Curriculum Leader for World Languages, Mr. Andrew Whitmore, our Curriculum Leader for Science, and Mr. Mike O'Connor, our Curriculum Leader for Art. Each of these curriculum leaders will be discussing some of the individual changes that are being proposed in their area of study, as well as highlighting some of the wonderful things that have been happening this year. I would like to start with perhaps the largest addition to the program of studies, which can be found on page 27, the introduction of computer science as a new department. In this proposed program of studies, you will find a vision statement created by a team of Dr. Malone, Mr. Caleri, Mr. Tebow, Mrs. Akey, Mr. Dowdy, Mrs. Koch, and me. The vision statement comes out of the intensive work that this team put in over a 2-day workshop at Devon's, put on by the state. Also included under this department are 5 courses, 4 of them new. Most of these courses, Computer Science Essentials, AP Computer Science A, and Cybersecurity, contain the course descriptions from Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is a course of study endorsed by DESE as meeting advanced coursework, which is part of our accountability score on our district report card. This means that students taking these courses will not only have a new opportunity to learn, they will also receive advanced coursework status for doing so. The new courses in this department introduce students to a varied material in the world of computer science at different access points. The course Computer Science Essentials offers students an introductory course in the subject that will be perfect for an underclassman who is interested in exploring the subject. AP Computer Science Principles is a course which we currently offer at the high school. However, AP Computer Science A contains further programming languages that students have had to take through Virtual High School, or VHS. We will be able to offer this course as a teacher-led course, which should attract a more diverse group of students to take part. Additionally, cybersecurity is an appealing option that brings the forefront of many of today's news stories into the classrooms at ASRHS. Students will be exposed to the ways through which cyber attacks happen and will problem solve ways to decrease the chance of data being exposed. Robotics has been a thriving club, not only at the high school level, but also at the middle school and both elementary schools. By introducing the concept of robotics in a course, we believe that a wider array of students will be able to join the robotics team and contribute to their overwhelming successes. As you will hear tonight from several of the curriculum leaders, is the prospect of bringing courses which we have been able to provide to students virtually, now being able to provide in a teacher-led class. AP Spanish, which Ms. Malillo will discuss, had a number of students take the class online. However, the prospect of taking an AP course and a language-based course at that seems daunting to many students. Having the personnel at the high school to be able to offer these courses is another reason why students should consider ASRHS a top-notch academic school in the area. I'm also providing you with a timeline for scheduling implementation at the high school. As you can see, scheduling ideas began back in December and will continue throughout the rest of the school year. We hope to send out this document with the program of studies to families to provide them with information on how and when certain aspects of course selection happen. I am pleased to introduce Mrs. Quinn, the curriculum leader for mathematics, to speak about updates and exciting news in the world of math at the high school.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Quinn. I'm curriculum leader for math at the high school. So just two things I wanted to highlight kind of that we've done in the math department recently. In December, we were able to hold an hour of code for our students. So they participated in coding activities online during their F-block classes. And then the second thing I wanted to speak to was the Saturday review sessions for AP Stats and AP Calc students. They meet at Narragansett with students from Fitchburg, Narragansett, and they all work together to kind of meet with people who have graded exams in the past and review some material. So those are two exciting things that our students have been doing recently. And then we can turn to the program of studies. The only change for math courses is the elimination of advanced math applications. We're going to be replacing that course with an advanced algebra and trigonometry class. The advanced math applications was obviously application-based, and it was more fitting for students who weren't planning on attending 2 or 4-year colleges after graduation. This new course, Advanced Algebra and Trigonometry, is going to focus more on skills that they're more likely to see in a freshman, or that would help them in a freshman year math class, or place higher on an AccuPlacer exam when they're determining their freshman year courses. So that's the real only change that we're going to make, that we hope to make to the program of studies, is replace the applications-based course with a course that will better prepare them for a 2 or 4-year college.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Next up is Ms. Malillo, our curriculum leader for world languages, who will discuss the world language programming at the high school.
Hi, my name is Rachel Malillo, and I'm the world language curriculum leader as well as the French and Mandarin teacher at the high school. As stated before, for the 2020-2021 school year, we are pleased to announce that we will be transitioning the AP Spanish course from being taught online to in-person by one of our Spanish teaching colleagues. We're excited about this new opportunity for Air Shirley students to further their language study and potentially gain college credit. We're hoping that this will improve student success rates on the AP Spanish exam while also encouraging more students to take the course. The World Language Department continues to look for and integrate new ways for our students to engage with the target language in and out of the classroom. This year we have offered a number of opportunities for students to learn real-life skills that go beyond linguistic capabilities, such as cooking lessons, providing a Latin Dance Panther block, and hosting students from Dijon, France. We look forward to constantly improving and adding more opportunities for our students to connect with language in school, as well as in their local and global communities. We're excited about this next step for AP Spanish.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Malone. Mr. Whitmore, the curriculum leader for science, will discuss in addition to the AP offerings in science in the high school.
Hi, I'm Andy Whitmore. I'm the curriculum leader for the science department here at the high school. I'd like to talk about how well a few things are running that we've started this year. Our biotech honors class is very popular and running very well. And we are excited to start planning for the new Cancer Innovation Lab that we're starting to look at. I'd like to highlight a few changes to the program of studies. One course that we are eliminating is the genetics course. When we started to look at the genetics course and the biotech course, there was a lot of overlap in there, and we can easily wrap the genetics material curriculum into the biotech curriculum. One major addition that we're offering is Advanced Placement Physics C Mechanics, which is the calculus-based advanced placement physics course. The math department is doing a wonderful job in pre-calc honors and AP Physics AE and BC, preparing students for advanced math. And we've noticed the last few years that physics students are coming into honors physics and AP and asking for a more calculus-based physics curriculum. So we are going to be offering that, adding that as our fourth AP Science course.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Last but certainly not least, Mr. O'Connor, our curriculum leader for art, will speak about the art program here at high school.
Good evening, everybody. As Mr. Chris just said, I'm Michael O'Connor. I'm the curriculum leader for art, visual arts, music, and kind of a one tech person, kind of in there. We're adding 2 new courses to our program of studies. The first course is going to be a painting/coloring, taught by Mr. Sigua. The course is an introduction to painting. Students will identify and use the elements and principles of art in the work. They will also learn techniques for working with tempera, acrylic, and watercolor paints, while there will be a special emphasis on working with just color. We started a coloring panda block this year and last year, I believe, and it was a huge hit, so we're trying to get up our numbers, so we thought bringing coloring more into it would be kind of a way to get more students. All right, in addition to that, with the art courses, we're changing the names of Computer Art 1 and 2 to Graphic Design 1 and 2, since the focus of the actual course is more on graphic design and professional stance rather than just creative art. The second new course we'll be bringing in is with Tracy Carpenter, which is going to be broadcast journalism, which will be taught by Ms. Carpenter. This course introduces students to the basic concepts of broadcast journalism. They will study current news stories by looking at the questions asked to collect. They will be asked, They will study current news stories by looking at the questions asked to collect important details and advance onto writing their own news stories. Students will learn why if it bleeds, it leads, but a camera isn't always welcome in every news situation. Students will practice writing news stories, which may cover local news, sports, and entertainment. In addition to that, we're going to be taking 2 of Tracy's previous courses that were a year long and putting them in half because we felt this was just too long of a course. So now they'll only be half-year courses. And upcoming news, which is really exciting, because the art show will be April 30th. Thanks to Dr. Malone and Charlie here. They're going to be installing a brand new rail system that's going to help us hang all the art around the school, and we're really excited to see what it looks like. Thank you.
Good.
Can I just ask a quick question on that broadcast journalism class? I'm just trying to find it in the program of studies, and I can't find it quickly, but is it a semester or a year long?
Oh, which one? I'm sorry.
The broadcast journalism?
Just a semester one.
Semester one. It'd be nice if some of those students could write some stuff that we can post places.
Sure. Oh, we maybe with that too. We can put stuff in there.
Yes,
Or even maybe start a school newspaper or something like that.
absolutely, yes.
So go back to the Panther News that they had here, that show.
Oh, the Peanut, yeah.
It was so good.
So that's going to be a major addition that we're now seeing to a lot of Ms. Carpenter's courses, is their work is going to be shown on APAC.
Good.
So she's been working collaboratively with Scott, who's really done a wonderful job this year at the high school, especially with an internship that he has with several students here, helping them to develop stories. We're hoping to bridge the two programs between ours and APAC's and have more student work featured on
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
If I could, I just want to mention the new title change to the course from radio to Netflix. I think it's such an enticing title. It was named probably, what,
Evolution of TV.
Evolution of TV, so, you know, it's kind of more of a engaging title, of course, for kids from radio to Netflix, so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they'll definitely recognize that.
Yeah, I'd like to take it.
Me too. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. At this time, Dr. Meyer and I would be happy to answer any questions you might have. Yes, Mr. Quincy.
Just a few comments. One for math. About 3 years ago, we pushed some of the integrated math down to the 8th grade and so that advancing some of the top end math at the high school. How's that dovetail working now that we're 3 years in?
So the integrated math 2 and 3 has been pretty successful for freshmen who are more accelerated. They've been able to take pre-calculus as sophomores. Some of them also took AP Stats as sophomores, and now they're currently taking AP Calc as juniors. So that's been pretty successful. The integrated math 1 and 2, that hasn't run for the last 2 years just because of lack of enrollment. So only 2 kids last year were recommended for it. So we've actually removed that from the program studies because it hasn't run in times.
And there is a mathematics flow chart in here.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on Jim, so you're finding that the students that are taking that, what is it that they're taking, integrated math, in the 8th grade, you're finding that they're ready once they get to the high school, like the transition's okay?
Yeah,
and
absolutely. The kids who've been recommended for 2 honors and for 2-3 honors are definitely prepared when they get here. Yeah.
So in a traditional mathematics pathway, the students would take an algebra 1 in 8th grade, correct? And then,
Yeah, so
we have the integrated, but.
yeah, integrated math 1 and algebra 1 line up pretty well. The difference with the integrated courses is that it's sort of 1 and 2 sort of integrate algebra and geometry throughout those 2 courses instead of separating them into 2 years. And we find that that works better for testing circumstances. On MCAS, you'll see a lot of questions where algebraic concepts are integrated into geometry questions and stuff like that. So
also very well aligned with the mathematics structure in the middle grades and the elementary grades, because all of that math is integrated by and large instead of being taught in compartmentalized subject-specific ways. It's showing kids how the connection between all the different courses.
So then can I ask you one more question? So, so the new course, that's the advanced, would you say algebra and trig? So what would those, is that like a 2-3 integrated math where you'd start learning trig, or?
no, that would replace the CP class for seniors right now. So right now the CP class for seniors is either advanced math applications or a CP level pre-calculus. And so the advanced math applications, years ago, it was typically for students who weren't planning on attending a 2 or 4 year college, but because our population now is such that most students are planning on attending a 2 or 4 year college, that course that we're replacing AMA with is just going to prepare them better for a freshman year math class in college.
Okay. I guess what I was asking though is, so when they take integrated math 2-3, is that more like a trigonometry, you know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, what's the difference between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 or whatever?
So, in terms of like traditional math classes, 1 and 2 kind of line up with algebra 1 and geometry.
Okay.
And IM3 lines up more with algebra 2 and then a little bit of trig at the end.
Okay.
So the 2-3 classes kind of take the algebra, geometry, a little bit of trig all in 1 year, whereas the advanced algebra and trig is going to be basically like the a little bit of algebra 2 and then mostly trig for a second semester.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I was asking. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Jim?
On the new computer science curriculum, one thing that I don't know if it's involved in any of the classes here, it seems to be mostly software-based, but I always thought it was a good idea, it worked out well for me that we started, my first courses in this started with these big plastic cases that were just hardware. And you go in there and you end up programming in hexadecimal and machine language, and you have just a pile of registers, you have a stack, you have a CPU, and you have a series of things. You have to physically touch this stuff, put this stuff together, and make things function based on all the components there. And I think, I'm assuming those kits are still available, and I think having that aspect of it, because many kids today, I mean, it's, you know, they're good at computers, well, they're good at using application software, they know their ways around things. They're pretty creative, you get into some of the stuff you do with Minecraft, you know, they can dig in different places. But it's good to know what's behind Oz's curtain down the line, because so much can happen there. So I think that's an opportunity that we should try to explore for anybody entering into this.
Absolutely. Taking a look at a course that's more hardware design, I think would certainly be applicable at the high school and something that would be desirable.
Yeah. Kids like to touch stuff.
Absolutely. And it's funny because that's what we hear from kids,
Right.
is they love the hands-on application whenever they have the opportunity.
Right.
So you're absolutely right.
And the third comment for arts, it's always been, I mean, both, not my son, but both my daughters are very artistic, but you know, as you get into high school and you get into a certain track for college, a lot of the stuff that people might consider soft courses, I don't, you know, arts, music, all that sort of stuff, it's hard to squeeze that stuff in because of scheduling. And I think if we do, even on a pass-fail notice on private studies stuff, that people could sign up and say, you know, you can sign up for this class for a half a semester and you can work on studio time. And you get some in and out from an instructor, teacher, you can work on this or on not a formal thing, but to give them some time to develop some of those skills that help their creative ability. I think that helps across the board, so. And some place for studio time, I think, would be well received.
Absolutely. So, yeah, so I was about to mention, both Mr. O'Connor and Mr. Seguin offer a number of Panther blocks at the high school that are incredibly well attended. And those range from open studio to the screen printing, where they were helping students to design their own t-shirts, which were incredibly successful. So you might even see our students now walking around with t-shirts they've designed themselves.
Cool.
Great.
The one thing I want to mention just before we move on, it doesn't have anything to do with program of studies. Liam had mentioned it earlier. We're having our 8 to 9 transition days coming up. So our transition day for students is going to be on March 3rd from 11:30 to 1:30. And our transition evening for parents is going to be on March 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. So those should be really fun times.
Great. All right. Anybody have any other questions before we vote on the program studies? No?
Thank you all for your hard work in putting this together.
Anything on history?
There are no new electives or changes to the program of studies in history this year.
Or English?
I will be bringing something forward in a few meetings on history. History electives are very popular at the high school. And so we're looking at a new way to make sure that students are able to take the electives that they want in the history department, and to ensure that the history teachers are able to teach those, because some of the teachers have to teach out of field for some of those history electives. So I'll be bringing that forward probably the next February meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Malone. You're absolutely right. The history electives are the most popular electives that we offer at the high school, where most students will choose to take at least one within a 2-year period of time. So our history team has now become taxed. And we've stretched beyond what they have the ability to teach, where we've reached into different departments to have them pick up courses ranging from history of sports to current events.
Okay. All right.
I will make a motion that we approve the program of studies for the 2020-2021 school year. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All set. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you everyone for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I would say every year I'd love to take some of these classes. They sound so interesting. All right, so we'll move on to establish a regional transportation reimbursement fund. Dr. Malone.
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to point out that Mr. Plunkett was not able to be here this evening. He had a family situation that came up. This establishment of the Regional Transportation Reimbursement Fund, I provided you an advisory in your packet, and I highlighted some of the key points of this. This is recommended by the Mass Association of Regional Schools. This establishment of this fund allows the regional school districts to establish a regional transportation fund, reimbursement fund, and deposit state regional transportation reimbursements to the RTR fund starting FY15. Once deposited, the regional school district is permitted to carry forward any funds that are not expended in the fiscal year in which they are received. And this is key to the establishment of this fund, because as you know, in our budget, any funds that are not expended at the end of the year will go into the excess and deficiency. So any funds that are carried forward must be expended in the subsequent fiscal year. So we know that in this Student Opportunity Act that our transportation fund is going to increase. So the funding that we receive may exceed what our costs are. So the establishment of this fund, say there was $50,000 we didn't expend, that money would stay in this fund, would be carried over to the next year and be able to be used in the next fiscal year and not have to go into excess and deficiency where you have limited use of that funding. Currently, regional school districts must estimate future reimbursements as they compile their budgets for the next fiscal year, which can occur in the fall or early winter before the governor's proposed budget is released. Allowing regional school districts to carry forward current reimbursements allows them to more accurately plan. And if you go down after, we have the languages for the vote. Once the fund is established, the regional district is allowed to deposit state transportation reimbursements into the RTR fund with the approval of the regional school committee. Deposited funds may be used in developing the subsequent fiscal year's budget. Deposited funds may be used to support the current year's budget. In the event that the use of these funds increases the budget, the regional school committee must amend its budget by following the process outlined in the regional school district budgets. Balances deposited in the RTF fund within the restricted amount do not impact the district's excess and deficiency calculation. However, if prior year reimbursements remain in the fund at the close of the fiscal year, subsequent to the fiscal year in which they were reimbursed, they would revert to the district's E&D account. So I'm recommending that the school committee establish this regional transportation fund. There is a language for the vote. Again, any funds that would be deposited to it would take a vote of the regional school committee. Mr. Plunkett's not here to give us figures, but we do anticipate our regional transportation fund to increase with the Student Opportunity Act. I don't believe the numbers have been released yet. And so we do anticipate that we would have maybe an excess in the fund at the end of the fiscal year, so that way it would be deposited into the reimbursement fund.
Thanks.
So have we had excess in the past that's run into E&D?
I asked Mr. Plunkett that question, and I think he said we have. And so we go, it wasn't a lot. I want to say he told me maybe like 20, 30 something thousand, and so it would have went into E&D.
Okay, so even though the state's not fully funding regional transportation for us, we're still able to keep our costs.
Right, and some of the costs in the circuit breaker, some of the special ed transportation is going to be able to be funded through circuit breaker, so there's some changes in that funding. So we do anticipate, and this was an advisory that was sent out to regional districts recently because of the increase to the transportation funding and the availability of sped transportation funding in the circuit breaker fund as well. So
Anyone else have any questions?
if you want, Mr. Plunkett will be here in the February meeting, and if you want to ask him more questions about it. But this simply establishes a fund. There's no money that's going into it right now. And again, any money that would be, we would recommend, any regional transportation money that we would recommend be deposited would have to be approved by the school committee.
I mean, it just sounds like we're just moving money from year to, I mean, it's fine.
Right.
We're just moving money from year to year, and you're gonna use it inside the fund, so it's really just more of a bookkeeping exercise anyway. It either goes to E&D or gets involved in your budget for the next year.
Right. So in a town budget and a regional budget, any money that is left over at the end of the year, any excess money, as you know, goes into the E&D fund. So this would separate the money in the transportation fund if there was excess to regain and use the next fiscal year.
Or it can be used for sped transportation as well.
I'm not sure, I'd have to get clarification on that. Probably, because we use some of the money, but I'll get clarification.
Well, certainly, there's no downside to it.
Right.
I can't remember ever having any extra transportation money since I've been here.
Right.
Just in case we do it.
I'll make a motion that we establish a regional transportation reimbursement fund.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll move on to the appointment of a school committee member to the sick bank committee.
If I may, Madam Chair, so I provided you a copy of from the contract that we just negotiated, Section 16. And if you look at the highlighted, parties agreed to establish a joint labor management task force with an equal number of members appointed by the superintendent and the association president for the purpose of studying the creation of a sick leave bank for association members. The task force will make recommendations to the parties, which will be subject to the approval of the full membership of the association and the committee. And in talking with Madam Chair, we thought Mr. Plunkett and myself were on the committee, and so far, Mr. Tully has one teacher who'd like it to be 3 and 3, and I thought that maybe a school committee member, because eventually we have to bring it back to the school committee, so I thought it would be appropriate to have a member of the school committee sit on the committee. I know there's been a history in the district around sick time and sick bank and sick leave and all of that, so I thought that some of you have been on the committee during those times when you regionalize and change some of those agreements, you may have that history and that perspective.
Anyone be interested in serving on that committee? I know Joyce and Cheryl aren't here to ask, but is anyone sitting here having a burning desire to be on the sick bank committee?
I don't anticipate to do too many meetings. And it'd probably be, not night meetings, probably be like at the end of the day timeframe, 2:30-ish.
How often?
Not too many. I don't anticipate it to be maybe 2 or 3 meetings. And again, I think typically they'd be scheduled like around 3:30. Teachers available.
I'll do that.
Thank you, Jim. All right, so Jim will be our member on the sick bank committee. All right, Dr. Malone, superintendent's report.
Sure. Move quickly. Under teaching and learning, submitted by Mr. Cleary, cross-district professional development. So, as you know, that was established with Littleton and Harvard, I don't know, 3 years ago now. And it's really developing to create a strong collaboration between the teachers in the 3 towns, Littleton and Harvard and Shirley. So 2 of our teachers, grade 3 teacher Valerie Holmes and Laura White, grade 1 teacher Courtney Powell, they hosted teachers from the Littleton Public Schools for 2 classes last week. Littleton is contemplating adopting our writing program called the Self-Regulated Strategy Development. Mrs. Lewis highlighted it at the school committee last meeting, and Mrs. Holmes and Mrs. Powell are both veteran implementers of the school self-regulated strategy development and graciously volunteered to be observed. Professional development feedback from faculty and staff on last professional development day. It was very positive, with 80% of the respondents indicating satisfaction with the day. In addition to some in-person workshops, we have also been experimenting with web-based workshops that allow for our educators to make relevant choices. Those who participated in these were very pleased with the content and the structure, and we will continue to explore options like these for other disciplines. Another outcome of the Cross-District Professional Development Planning Committee, the Planning Committee submitted a proposal to present at the MassQ Spring Leadership Conference on our collective experience with the planning and implementation of this professional development structure. The title of the session is Cross-District PD, Inspiring, Personalizing, and Engaging Professional Development and a Collaborative Approach. So, as you know, it was initiated by Dr. Lone in collaboration with Harvard Superintendent Dr. Dwight and Littleton Superintendent Dr. Kelly Clenchy, and Mr. Cleary is going to be a member of the presenting team, planning and will be presenting with the team at the conference. So we're happy to showcase Littleton, Harvard, and New Shirley. Computer science, as you know, we completed in the workshop, and we have a solid action plan that has a 3-month, 6-month, and long-range timeline. The Chapter 70 presentation per Mr. Quinty's request, Mr. Jones, who's the Senior Policy Analyst at the Mass Budget and Policy Center, will not be available until March. Until such time of the presentation, he can provide some analysis of Chapter 70, and I've not yet received the documents. He said he was really busy, but he would do an analysis of our Chapter 70. So as soon as I get them, I will certainly read them to school committee. Friendly reminder, we're presenting the FY21 budget presentations. We're presenting in Shirley on Monday, February 25th at 6 p.m. and in here on Tuesday, February 26th at 6 p.m. And Mrs. Town will post, should we have a quorum in either of the meetings. I know we've done that in the past. So, and the other thing I wanted to point out too, that our public hearing is on March 3rd. So Michelle has listed the advertisement in the paper today, because we have to post for a public hearing, and then the school committee will be looking at certifying the budget on March 18th. The February 26th school committee meeting, I do anticipate Mr. Plunkett giving you a more detailed presentation of the Chapter 70 numbers and things that he would be doing tonight. So I just wanted to point out that timeline that the school committee will still have time to make decisions. The mathematical study, the Shirley Regional School District has been chosen to participate in the federally mandated school nutrition and meal cost study. 3 of our 4 schools are participating, the high school, middle school, and Laura White, and about 500 schools have been chosen nationwide. The study will be conducted during the week of February 24th and will include a menu survey, information on foods offered and served at reimbursable breakfasts and lunches, SFA director, manager, and principal surveys regarding district policies, school environments, and food service operations, student and parent interviews, a small sample of grades 1 through 12 with necessary permissions. Parents may choose to opt out. Then observations of breakfast and lunch in the cafeteria. Privacy and dissemination of information. All information gathered for research purposes only will be kept private, and the final research finding will be published in 2022.
A long time.
I know, it does.
Study.
Yeah, Mr. Cleary pointed out it's actually Monday, February 24th, and then Tuesday, February 25th, and our school committee is on the 6th. On the above budget presentations. Alrighty, health and wellness update. So, as you know, we have a nurse leader, and I've advocated for leaders of our departments, and so we thought the school committee and our viewers would be interested in knowing what we're doing in health and wellness. So, Mrs. Renee, we worked on teen pregnancy laws regarding confidentiality for student review for principals, guidance counselors, and nurses within the district. Free Narcan was obtained and training was provided to all nurses through AIDS Project Worcester. Narcan was placed in every AED kit throughout the district. Immunization survey completed at each school and submitted to the Department of Public Health. Asthma, diabetes survey completed at each school and submitted to the Department of Public Health. Head lice guidelines for the district updated January 23rd, 2020. Stop the Bleed training provided by the Air Fire Department to all the nurses in the district. Free Stop the Bleed tourniquets placed in every AED kit throughout the district. Immunization exemption and vaccine preventable disease exclusion in each school were reviewed with nurses and school principals. Allowable exceptions, a medical exemption, a religious exemption, and the McCain Mental Act, folks who may be homeless. AED pads and lithium batteries updated. Alarm systems on the AED stations in all schools were updated to working conditions. All district nurses attended the voting day conference November 5th in Burlington. The agenda was pediatric sleep disorders, rights of immigrant families and children with special health care needs. We're conducting mandated screenings, vision, hearing, height, weight, BMI, SBIRT. It started in the district. The nurse leader attended the Central Region School Nurse meeting in January 5th, 2020. The nurse leader attended a professional software for nurses, that's our SNAP program, on advanced training November 25th, and the nurse leader attended the teacher and specialized instructional support personal evaluation that works with Associates. Our nurse leader, Renee, is doing a fabulous job and is very well-liked and very easy to work with, so we're very happy to have her. She's doing a good job leading the district. Just wanted to update you around facilities. There's been a lot of discussion about carbon monoxide detectors in our schools. And quite a while ago, I spoke with Mr. Briggs, and we didn't have them in our other 3 schools. So this is to inform you that detectors have been installed in all of our schools. We follow the recommended guidelines for installations such as near a boiler or kitchen. We had them in the high school, but not in the older schools. So. And then per the request of Mr. Leone, on the lighting in the middle school gymnasium, we're going to cover the switches so that people can't rub against them. And we are investigating the installation of LED lighting, and in the meantime, we are replacing the bulbs that are out.
Awesome.
Okay, and sports update submitted by Mr. Kendall, our athletic director. So the winter sports participation was up 10 athletes from last year. You see the numbers there, I won't read every single one of them, but we know our track is pretty large, but it's really good numbers. Boys basketball has improved dramatically, currently with a 7-11 record with 2 games left. After winning just 3 games the previous 2 seasons combined, coaches Rick Kilpatrick and Jim Lamb have done a wonderful job with a very young team. 3 seniors, 1 junior, 3 freshmen starting most nights. Girls basketball is 12-4 and is qualified for the postseason. Pete Page and Steve Belanger have led another young team, just 1 senior, Riley Murphy, one of their best seasons. Last home game is tonight at 7 p.m. versus Murdoch, Mr. Rinty.
I was there, I saw the first half, 6 o'clock start today.
It actually
Oh, is
started,
that at 6 o'clock? Oh, I didn't know that.
there was no JV game, so they were able to start
Oh,
at 6.
jeez.
So we'll see the end of it.
Oh. Boys ice hockey is 8-9 with 3 games left. 2 wins will qualify them for the postseason. Senior Nick Granger and junior Ian Keane have been outstanding in goal for the LAS Blue Knights. Girls ice hockey clinched the league title last night, Central Mass Small Conference. They have qualified for the state hockey tournament, and the schedule will be released at the end of next week. So this year, they've added cheerleading to our varsity girls and boys basketball games this winter, so that's always nice. The middle school basketball teams are doing well. The boys are young and have been improving week in and week out. Well, the girls are 10-1. Both teams hosted Samoset today and Skyview Wednesday. The boys will host Hawthorne Brook on Thursday. Any update?
Both teams lost today. Girls played most of the young players for most of the game
Oh, good.
to give them an opportunity to play.
Oh, nice.
And so they did not win, but it was a good job by Dallas to get all of those girls
Yeah.
good playing time. And he didn't snub his 8th graders. They played sufficient amounts too. And the boys, they did very well today, much better than they had the previous game against this team, and had an opportunity to win. But in the end, we couldn't pull it out.
I heard they have a really good coach.
They have
The Samoset team, you
have
mean?
this real old guy that's trying to make a comeback. I don't know, maybe maybe he should go back to retirement.
What's next, baseball or something?
Next is baseball, yeah.
Yeah. The boys track team finished second in the league and 5th in Central Mass championships. Dana Maloney won the CMass championship in the 1,000 meter, while the 4x20 team, Brandon Bichon, Ariel Velasquez, Ryan Wade, and Liam Barassa. And the 4x100 team, Liam Gleason, Ariel Velasquez, Patrick Bergen, and Caleb Kaluka, both finished second in CMass. The 4x800 team, Will Ship, Caleb Kaluka, Davis Preston, and Dana Maloney finished 4th. On the girls' side, Annika Preston continued her growth, improving her time in the 600 meter in every meet this winter. The 4x200 team of Devin Delani, Jordan Kosakowski, Nazia Bikoff, and Erica Lopez had their best time of the year at the CMass meet. Unified Bocce Club is enjoying learning the game under the tutelage of Mr. Nate Diffin, and Mrs. Mackenzie McGannis. We're hoping to have a staff-student tournament after the break. School committee. The swim team had
I'm
an
in, too.
outstanding season. The girls went 9-1 in the dual meet season, while the boys went 8-2. The girls went on to finish third in district, while the boys placed fifth. At sectionals, the girls placed seventh, and the boys 12th. Here, Shirley's Anthony Villa is part of the 4x20 free relay team that qualified for the state meet. And I believe Sierra Quinty, who is a freshman, would you like to cite her accomplishments this year?
She ended up qualifying for districts, which is good.
Yeah, as a
The
freshman.
meet at Tantasco was good. There was a girl for the Brownfield team in the 500. The place was going crazy because she finished her 500 and she took 17 seconds off her PR. 17 seconds. And then when you take a look at what her time on the board and you look at the next heat up with the boys, they race, her time for that race beat the PR for all the boys that were in the next race. A couple of the boys shaved like 4 seconds off, so they ended up ahead, but it was just frightening to watch.
Wow, good. And Darren's a swimmer too. Yes, Mrs. Quinty reported that every day Sierra goes to the pool, the pool, the pool, the pool, the pool. Okay, so Mike Brooke, Brooke Ventachello. And Mariette Hammond, and Allie Philibrown represented ASRSD at the annual Girls and Women in Sports Day at Annual Hall last Friday, February 7th. And we have entered into a co-op with Brumfield for softball, and we are the host school. They had asked us, and so we invited them in, so we plan to have a JV and varsity program this spring.
Great.
Yeah, nice. And then the college acceptances in red, Berkeley College of Music, Northeastern University, and Salve Regina. So we've got some nice college acceptances. You know,
I still think
read them all.
there's still a lot that haven't been reported.
Right, so we'll continue to report them, and one night we'll read them all.
Any discussion about lacrosse, the girls?
Nothing I know about now. I'll find out anything about it.
So we co-op with who?
Bromfield.
Littleton?
Bromfield.
That's Bromfield.
But it's several towns, like Bromfield, Parker, Maynard, like there's several towns that are in that co-op.
I'll ask that for you. No problem. All right, this is my report.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to ongoing business. Item A, fiscal year 21 budget discussion. Dr. Malone.
I'm going to do my best. That is the packet. So some of the things I'm going to leave with him. I'm going to get up to the podium. Documents. Alrighty. So we're not going through the whole PowerPoint, so that is good. Some information for you. Okay. So I'm going to begin with some of the slides that we've updated first before I go on to the revised budget that you have. It's on.
Hello, Mr. Frost and Mr. Gleason, how are you?
I don't know. Okay, we'll go manually. So Michelle, if you could please advance to slide 9.
If you move the mouse off of the thing, will it work?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know how to run a. Okay. So in your package you have, we gave you some hard copies of everything, of the PowerPoint. Correct, Michelle? See it in the drive and the.
If I hit exit though, can't get rid of this. Sorry.
Page 9. So in the budget that you have before you tonight, it's been updated to February 11th. When I get to the chapter 70, so our numbers came in and some of the numbers changed the budget for the towns. And so what I've done here is I've grouped the enhancements in what I'm proposing in the FY20 budget, starting with the Director of School Counseling, Coordinator of Social Emotional Learning and Advisory. And as I spoke at the last meeting, we're categorizing that under the Student Opportunity Act, under the guide that we have to submit to DESE. I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but so we received $50,700 under Chapter 70, under the Student Opportunity Act. So we would like to allocate that money to the Director of School Counseling, Coordinator of Social Emotional Learning position, and then we would fund $29,300 of that out of the school choice. And as we had looked at the numbers, and our numbers were down for the town, to create a really comprehensive program that supports the mental health, students' behavioral mental health and wellness. At the Page Hill top, I'm requesting and recommending to add either adjustment of school counselor at the salary of $62,500. I provided you an infographic in your packets. Last week, February 3rd through the 7th, was the National School Counselor Week, and so we celebrated the good work of our counselors. But we were provided with this infographic, which I've known this for a long time. As you know, I was a former school counselor. And the ideal caseload is 250 students to one counselor. Well, at the Page Hill top, we have almost 600 students now. And so, turn on to my numbers in a minute. Excuse me, 560. So right now we have one school counselor. Our school psychologist, Rachel Busco, who is the elementary psychologist, we have asked her to take on 2 grades, kindergarten and first grade, to provide school counseling services, but that's really not in her toolbox to be that school counselor, but we had to reduce the caseload of the current school counselor at Page Hilltop. So I'm recommending another full-time counselor, which will reduce the caseload of that to the ideal caseload. Over at the Laura White, we have 343 students, and we have one school counselor there. With the addition of the approval of the school committee, of the Director of School Counseling, and the Coordinator of Social Emotional Learning, we would have that person cover some of the students at the Laura White. The high school, right now we only have 371 students, so our high school counselors, we have 2 of them, as you know, they're below the ratio at this time. And at the middle school, we have 406 students, and we have 2 counselors there. So this would really complement our counseling department and really create ideal caseloads for our counselors. So, and then, as you know, in the last budget, I recommended the digital literacy integration specialist, K through 12. That's going to be funded out of school choice at $62,500, and then we moved. You already know about the digital literacy teacher going full-time for a $10,000 increase, and that the .5 preschool teacher, we're hoping our preschool numbers will continue to grow with our focus on early learning, and so we can support adding that .5 teacher from the preschool tuitions. And then the last position is the high school computer science teacher at $62,500, which is in the budget. So those are the only changes there. Are there any questions? All right, Michelle, if we go to page 11. So this doesn't change anything in 11, actually. Okay, so on page 13, which was going to be Mr. Plunkett's side. So he's put some new numbers in there. So why don't you take a look at the numbers based on the governor's budget. And you have a big diagram there. I don't have the last PowerPoint to give you the comparative numbers, but the EAR's required local contribution went up significantly, but Shirley's did not, and I'll show you that later. So slide 13 is a new slide. Slide 14, Mr. Plunkett updated. I think he just changed the numbers based on the increases. Slide 15, of course, it changed the assessment numbers, and so those updated in that column. So the proposed assessment is 3.2% for FY21. And then on page 16, as you know, our E&D has been certified. And so this slide, if you scroll down to FY19, the last row in the top box, you'll see that our budget is $29,710,874, and our certified E&D is $1,151,242. So we're certainly below the 5% of our budget. And then, if you, Michelle, can that slide go up just a little? So you'll see the graph of our E&D allocations.
Sorry, hold on. I don't know.
Well, you can see the trend, so it went up, and then we had that issue with the budget, it didn't really go down that much, but, and then, so you'll see us 17, 18, and 19, which are decreasing because we have been making allocations out of the budget.
I just lost the internet. Sorry.
Technology is wonderful until it fails.
Well, you know, it's patience. On page 17, you either have a hard copy or it's in your on your computers, in your drive. So FY19, I gave you, in the last presentation, we listed all of the certified E&D numbers, and then we listed what we did within those years. So one of the things that we talked about is on, it's the next discussion and recommendation for allocation of FY19 excess deficiency. What I'm recommending, and Mr. Plunkett and I are recommending, that we transfer $151,242 to capital stabilization, which would leave a balance of $1 million in the E&D. And if you go to the memo I gave you, I'm going to move around quickly. There's a memo updated Tuesday, February 11th. If you go to the very last, everything stays the same that was in this memo from before, except item number 9, we had left that blank for our recommendations from E&D. So we're recommending $151,242. So that would bring the balance in the capital stabilization fund to $535,656. But remember that the school committee committed to a reservation for the field project of $300,000. So if we continue with that, then that will leave a balance of about $235,656 in the capital stabilization fund for F21. And I will tell you, we feel very comfortable because, as you know, there are a lot of proposed facility initiatives that we're using in the capital stabilization that I went over in a prior presentation. Okay? And so the rest of these slides, I am going to, so page 18, we just updated it with the FY19 certification, and then it, you know, told you the allocations. And then Bill put in these other slides, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Which I'm going to let him go over with you when he comes on the 26th, but I will have you look at slide number 25, which is the assessment. So with what I've just described in the budget for the Student Opportunity Act money, for the Director of the School Counseling and the Coordinator of Social Emotional Learning, along with either the school or adjustment counselor at the Page Hilltop, you will see the assessments change. So EARS assessment will be at 3.7. EARS assessment went up because Mr. Plunkett reported that their required local contribution went up significantly. And Shirley's assessment is down, and so at our last budget it was at 2.9%. So the assessment to Shirley would be at 2.5% increase of $187,350. EARS at 3.7% at $412,731. And then after the debt, it would be at 2.6 for Shirley and 3.3 for EAR. So those are the assessments. With everything that we've put into this budget, all the enhancements, the positions, the curricular resources, a lot of our facility upgrades are coming out of our capital stabilization. I think we've presented you with a really solid, strong budget. Making improvements in all of our areas: curriculum instruction, fiscal management, human resources, teaching and learning. And like I said, Mr. Plunkett will be here next week to explain the numbers. I really didn't have a chance to go over them with him. And any questions?
So will this be the presentation that we use when we go to the towns?
Yes.
So can we go back to slide 18 for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know this always comes up.
Sure.
Can we add a column that has the cap number on it so that they can quickly and easily see what the cap is?
Oh, the E&D?
On all.
Oh, the cap of those accounts, I understand. Yeah, sure. Good suggestion.
Yeah, like over on the left-hand column, maybe in smaller print, do something like the, percentage of whatever that is, and then what the actual number is, on the right-hand column.
Sure. Good.
Just because people like to ask those questions
And just to talk about the allocation to student wellness and mental health. So we're hoping that with the coordinator of social emotional learning and the director of the school counseling, it's a dual role, that will be able to establish an infrastructure to facilitate integrated coordination of school and community-based resources, and we'll be able to increase family and community engagement. And as you know, there's been an increase for mental health services for kids in schools, and so we too need to meet that need. The commissioner, I provided for you in your packets the commissioner's template for the Student Opportunity Act. I don't expect you to read it all, but it gives some good information of what we have of the plan, and certainly we are prepared to submit that plan. Of course, it's involved with the school committee. I also provided you just a document that showed the districts that were getting over the 1.5. Some districts getting, really significant amount of money, of course, in the urban districts. So really, we're looking at targeted student support and conditions and student success, which is part of the commissioner's plan, and then we would look at some of the DESI metrics to measure the outcomes of these positions and the impact on student learning. Some of it's through college matriculation, through the director of school counseling. We can look at those numbers, and of course, participation in our pathways. Any questions?
Thank you as always for your tremendous work with this every year.
Thank you.
Always amazes me how many slides it takes to get through.
Yeah.
But that's the detail that...
Transparency and...
Oh, absolutely.
So we did item B, right, as part of...
Yeah, so I made the recommendation, and if the school committee wants to discuss it again, as I said, the February 26th meeting will have another budget discussion, and then March 3rd is the public budget hearing, and then March 18th is the meeting we have to certify the budget.
Okay.
45 days before the annual school town meeting.
Did anyone have any further discussion about the recommendation, or do we want to take it up next meeting when we're talking about the budget again?
I'm good right now.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to item C, the update on the Air Shirley Regional High School parking lot. Dr. Malone.
Yeah, I just wanted to include in your packets, the planning board met, and I gave you the document. Just look at it. So the planning board met on January 28th. They reviewed the site plan for the additional parking area at the Air Shirley Regional High School. The board voted to approve the site plan as it was presented by Mark Wetzel, the superintendent of the Air Department of Public Works, and shown in the plans titled Air Shirley Regional High School District, High School Additional Parking, dated November 2019, with no revisions or changes. I will point out, though, there was discussion at that meeting about lighting. So we have to look at some of the lighting, and it was also, I think, that it was commented that we already have the curb cut, so that saves a lot of money, you know, so it's ready to be developed into a parking lot. And the other concern, or what was discussed, was that we would, you know, plant some shrubbery, some low shrubbery for aesthetics, and we had already talked about that we would do that. So, you know, some nice flowering shrubs would be really pretty, to give some color. You know, you can get shrubs that flower from the spring into the summer, would be really pretty. So, other than that, those are the only updates on that.
So is there any other permitting that needs to go on, or are we ready to go out to bid?
We're ready to go out to bid. Mr. Plunt is working on that.
Cool.
RFP, yes.
So this will be a summer schools out?
Spring, yeah.
Cool.
Great. All right, so we'll move on to item D, proposed policy FF, naming new facilities. Jim?
Yeah. I have some copies of what I came up with. I know I had a rather circular explanation at the last meeting, because I've been wrestling with it for quite some time. So I'm going to pass these out to you, or read it into the record. And what I'd like to do, because it's a radical departure from anything we had from I normally go through policies and we make wording changes and, you know, minor changes here, there in particular areas. What I'd like to do is just read it into the record and give everybody a week with it to kind of figure out where they are, and then come back next time.
Okay.
Okay, so.
So a little over a week.
Yeah. All right, so this is naming facilities. Only the regional school committee can name school buildings, facilities, grounds, rooms within school buildings, or any other real property under the purview of the school committee. Choosing a name is an important matter that deserves thoughtful attention. Naming dedications that existed as of 11 February 2020 are fixed and shall retain their names in perpetuity. New schools replacing existing structures will retain the name of the original school. The success of the district is fully dependent on the dedication and commitment of the district staff, committee members, local officials, parents, friends, and volunteers to provide an environment that allows students to explore the limits of their potential from kindergarten through secondary school. Much of the knowledge of selfless sacrifice by various individuals in achieving this end is in large part unknown or at best incomplete. Cognizant of this and valuing all in union, the school committee finds it unfair to elevate any one singular person's contribution over that of others. The committee may, however, recognize by naming facilities or other large capital improvements that are gifted in whole or in large part solely by an individual or entity. The committee also finds it appropriate to acknowledge individuals in memoriam. These dedications will be prominently displayed to remind us all of a loved friend and colleague, and to value the time we are given to continue their legacy.
Okay, so you want us to
Just
kind of
read.
take it in and
Yeah,
take in
see-
some other,
See where you are.
okay, and then we'll come back.
Right.
Does anyone have any?
Yeah, just, so memorial plaques or dedications of that nature, through this, no problem. What about people who have served the community and the school system in one way or another, for many, many years? Any potential for erecting some kind of memorial, not a memorial because they're not passing away, but something to honor their service?
Anything can be added to this, or subtracted from this, or anything we get it done. You know, and like all policies that are here, they can be amended at any point.
Okay, but I think that's the only other thing that I would want to see in here in terms of naming. I think I agree with the policies of naming things, because, you know, there's a lot of controversy over naming buildings for people more than others, and it's become even worse, in some parts of the country. But I just think we need to have something that allows us to name something or put up a plaque somewhere for someone who's dedicated their services to the system before they pass away.
Well, we have teachers, even now, that are retired that went to school through Page Hilltop. I went to school with them here. They taught, and now they're retired. It's a good poll. There's nothing like that. I mean, like a plaque with an honor roll and that sort of stuff. All those things are doable. And even in the in memoriam things, you have, Amy Martone and Bill McGee, and there are those that you don't want to forget.
So my whole point is, does that have to be added to this?
Yeah.
Right.
So if there's some sample policies, I don't know if you've seen them in the drive too, that might help kind of find some language that you're talking about. And I think that's what I'd like to do too, is kind of look through these and maybe incorporate some of that into this.
So we'll bring it back next meeting.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
Hi, Michelle. I have a few questions. So this is second reading, is that correct?
Well, it's listed that way, but at the last meeting, we had tabled what was there, what we had as was it a first and the last, and we tabled that to come back with something else. So it really wasn't a second read of what we had, what was proposed before. You know what I'm saying?
You're going to usually start from scratch after you've already gone through a process where you have proposed policy, you've done a reading, and then you're just scrapping everything you've done and kind of go back to the beginning.
Well,
I don't think we had the original read. I mean, we came out, Dr. Malone went and surveyed a couple of other schools. And then I said, all right, that's good background information. I have some other ideas with this. So we'd like to take everything that Dr. Malone did, what we had as a base, and what I put together here, and see if there's something we can put together that we want to do.
yeah, it kind of, when we talked about it last time, it was kind of tabled with anticipation of something coming back from Jim, because he's on the policy subcommittee.
Personally, just as a member of the community, I mean, schools are a taxpayer-funded entity, and to request, or not request, to demand someone's have to pay in order to have their name put on a building or a section of a building seems totally against that way of financing, right? This is not a fundraising group, right? It's taxpayer-funded. So it strikes me as completely against that. To then say, we're only going to name something to give us money. It just feels ugly to me, quite frankly, the spirit of that. It really concerns me a lot. Also, I've looked at some of the other, and they gave similar to ones in your drive, but as far as memorials, a couple districts have actually specifically said those things should be handled in awards or scholarships, and they don't want them to have any memorials to have anything to do with a facility name. Well, there was one that said you need to be dead for 5 years, which I was still on the committee, and I think we kind of decided we didn't like that language of you can't honor someone who still belongs to living here. And I don't know what's controversial. I haven't heard of an instance since the softball field was named of anyone coming forth with a name in this school district. So it's not like they're coming out of the woodwork and you guys have to juggle dozens of competing things. Mr. Frost brought forward Mr. Parker. And that's, again, since Rita Briggs in the softball field, that's the only one I can remember coming forward. So it's not like this happens often, and you guys are confronted with a plethora of options and tough decision-making. I don't see where the controversy aspect Joe mentions or any of the challenges of considering what was brought forth by Mr. Frost and Mr. Parker. It actually feels personal in a way that this was left as it was for years, the policy manual, and once Mr. Parker's name was brought forward, all of a sudden it's like, we're going to write something completely different and make sure that he can't be named, because he's not going to, as a teacher, an administrator, hasn't earned enough money in his lifetime to buy the building naming that Mr. Frost was recommending. So, I mean, if you're going to honor teachers and administrators, and they don't get paid particularly well compared to the general public and the private sector, but then you're going to kind of demand we extort money out of them in order to have their name put on the building after they've given 40 years of service. The whole thing feels pretty ugly to me personally, so that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. I don't think that's I mean, obviously not the intention, and part of the reason why I wanted to look back at others and make some changes myself. So I take your comment to heart, and anyone else?
Well, thank you to Dr. Malone and Michelle for getting those sample policies out there and just skimming them. Looked like they were sort of consistent, but sort of all over the place at the same time. So.
Yeah, it's nice to have those though, because there are some, like I said, some language in there that you definitely could draw on to modify. All right, so will everyone bring back their thoughts and changes and additions and whatever on the 26th. Item 10, subcommittee reports. The Diversity and Equity Subcommittee, Joyce isn't here tonight to give an update, and I don't think she's left anything. Jim, did you have any update? Just this one? Okay. Chairman's notes, there's none. Any other topics for discussion not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting? No? All right, so announcements or communications. Since Joyce isn't here, I can read them, but just give me a second. All right, so Monday, February 17th to Friday, February 21st, there'll be no school for February vacation. Tuesday, February 25th is the coffee and conversation with Dr. Malone from 9:30 to 10:30 at the central office. Tuesday, February 25th is also coffee and conversation with Dr. Malone from 4 to 5, also at the central office. Wednesday, February 26th is the school committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. in high school LGI room. Tuesday, March 3rd is the class of 2024, which is our grade 8 transition to high school from 11:30 to 1:30 at the high school. Tuesday, March 3rd is our school committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the high school LGI room. Wednesday, March 4th is progress reports issued for grades 6 through 12. Wednesday, March 11th, Air Shirley Regional High School Winter Sports Banquet at 6 p.m. at the high school. Wednesday, March 11th is the SEPAS sponsored event, Educational Consultant Barbara Rich at 7 o'clock p.m. in the middle school library. Friday, March 13th, trimester 2 ends for grades preschool through 5. Wednesday, March 18th is a school committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. in the middle school library. Thursday, March 19th will be a half day of school for and professional development for teachers. Friday, March 20th, Saturday, March 21st, and Sunday, March 22nd is the Air Shirley Regional High School Spring Play, Pippin. Friday's show will be at 7, Saturday at 2 and at 7, and Sunday at 2 at the high school auditorium. Monday, March 23rd, report cards are issued for grades preschool through 5. Tuesday, March 24th is the Air Shirley Regional High School Spring Concert at 6:30 p.m. in the high school auditorium. Thursday, March 26th is a half day of school for grades preschool through 5 and evening parent-teacher conferences. Friday, March 27th is the half day of school for grades preschool through 5 and afternoon parent-teacher conferences. And Sunday, March 17th is the Janice Bresnahan Run for Education at the high school campus. And that's it. There's nothing else. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I just had one question.
Yeah.
I see that the next meeting is not going to be at the middle school, it's here. Is there a reason for that?
I don't remember, I don't think you guys maybe decided for budget season it was easier to be next door than.
I think that's what we came up with.
Good.
I don't know, it surprised me too, and
Yeah.
I can't remember back.
Not sure.
I just thought it might have been a typo.
Yeah, no.
People get
It was
into,
on the schedule.
this is what we usually do.
That's what surprised, like, when I reread the schedule and I saw we had the 26th and the 3rd, I was like, I knew we added one because we typically added one like that last week of February anyway, but then I didn't understand, maybe we just put it in there as a placeholder?
And I'm going to rely on Michelle.
It wasn't the schedule I gave you guys to review.
Was it? Oh,
Gonna be a busy week that week.
very busy.
3 nights in a row we're at.
Yeah.
That's the public forum that night too? So will the public forum start at 6:30? Isn't that the public forum on the 26th? No, the 3rd? I'm sorry.
March 3rd, public hearing. And I assume we're going to have a public hearing at 6:30 like we've done in the past, first half an hour of the meeting. Sometimes we can schedule a public hearing at 6:30 before the regular starts, whatever the building committee is fine with us. But we don't just decide that every second.
Well, the ad went to the paper, so I'd have to notify them tomorrow if you
We said
decide to.
6:30, yeah, we did the regular time. I think that's what we've done, yeah.
That kind of makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So we are.
I guess so.
Next two meetings.
You mean you just want to know where?
I just want to know how I
If
I come here to bring the instruments and lunch.
Middle school, there's no reason why we can't.
I don't really, I mean, I'm fine either way. So, I mean, we can leave it here since it's what's here, or we can move it to the middle school. Doesn't matter.
I'm fine with here.
All right, let's leave it here.
Stick with the schedule.
Okay. All right, so,
I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:05 PM.
moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 8:05. Thank you. 8:06, actually.